What's up guys, the Methodical Show here to bring you the review for Season 7, Episode 8, titled Anaconda, the potential prequel spin-off series for The 100. And this episode was fantastic, and there's so much from The 100 lore, and things we never knew that we learned tonight, so odds are I'll probably leave some things out by accident in this review, but I'll try to cover as much as possible in what was an incredible debut for this potential series. Where to even start on an episode like this? It was just insane from beginning to end, just seeing everything that this prequel may have to offer and filling in the blanks really on questions that if you are a avid watcher of The 100 you will want to know. And that's what made it so incredible, I think, was filling in those blanks. Questions from The 100 lore, like when did they learn the language? We now know the answer to that. We know where the sayings of each clan came from. Tree Crew was actually around before the apocalypse even began, which is insane to think. And so many other questions. How did they all get the night blood? We kind of could have assumed that Becca came down and gave it to them anyway, but we now know that the cast of this potential prequel were the ones who greeted her, and then we seen her death, which we never ever would have known unless we got this episode and this potential series coming up. So we'll start this review off with the very beginning before we get into any of the prequel stuff. The episode began with Clark meeting Cadogan and a few mentions of Callie in there and stuff like that, like little hints of, you know, where the episode was going and such, and then Cadogan began asking about her and things like this. And then right after that, and Clark and them are obviously pointing guns at him and whatnot, and then we get right into the prequel, basically right away, just a couple minutes into the episode. The prequel stuff begins fairly normal with life stuff and just Callie and Lucy hanging out after they had just been to a protest. It would be shown anyway and mentioned later on that they were at a protest and there was some police brutality, which is weirdly, eerily similar to stuff that's going on in the world right now. There's no way, obviously, they could have predicted that, but that is just a weird little coincidence with that. And everything's kind of going normal at this point. Like, it's pretty normal life of the 100, which is something we never seen before, and we only get about 5 minutes of it, and then we go straight into Callie talking to Cadogan and him giving the code word of Anaconda, which then would be revealed by Cadogan's wife that means the missiles are in the air and that the end of the world is near. He even gives a time frame on when the missiles are going to hit. He says they're going to hit in 20 minutes, and he's got a helicopter, second dawn helicopter, coming to pick them up within 5 minutes. And Callie's mother begins to freak out as it's 20 minutes until the world ends. Everyone, any of them have ever known, everything just gone. So they begin to obviously freak out. Callie doesn't accept it right away that they have to leave and go, but eventually she has to believe that Cadogan is telling the truth on this. Callie then mentions her best friend Lucy, who is not a part of their cult, the Second Dawn, and well, Callie and her mother weren't even part of it either. They had left, but now with the situation being the way it is, with the world coming to an end, they have no choice but to get to the bunker, and being Cadogan's family, he's gonna make sure they get there. Then Lucy comes downstairs. She kind of interrupts them and asks, you know, what's all the commotion about? And then Callie's mother jabs a needle into her neck and puts her to sleep, and Callie's then forced to make the decision to leave her best friend to die, which she makes in a couple of minutes, but there really wasn't much choice there. They could have tried to drag her to a helicopter, which they might have been able to do, but there wasn't really much choice to be made there, especially in that situation. When you're within 15 minutes of the end of times, you kind of can't really think too much about other people. We then see Callie and her mother leave in a helicopter, a Second Dawn helicopter, and they are leaving, and as they are in the air and flying to the bunker, they see the first bombs hit and just absolutely destroy the entire city they lived in, and everything just gone, just like that. Then the next time we see Callie and her mother, they are arriving at the bunker, which is obviously the same bunker that we've seen so many times in the show, going back to the season 4 finale and beyond that. And it was definitely a bit nostalgic to see it again and see what was there before our group was ever there to begin with. The explosions then pass over the bunker, and Callie says the phrase, "You can play stay out on," which was really weird at the first time I heard her say it, because it was like, pretty sure wouldn't the grounder language be something that was started afterwards, but absolutely not. This entire language she came up with before there was ever an apocalypse, so that was kind of shocking just to hear where the language came from. And she says you can play stay out on for your fight is over, obviously, which means they would have been developing Tree Crew and the entire thing before the bombs ever hit, and we are seeing the literal beginning of the grounder culture with them. We then get a couple scenes with Cadogan and his family, and they're kind of debating on what the heck they're doing and what's going on, and then for that stuff there wasn't really much important stuff in that particular scene. But then we seen Callie run off and to the bunker door, which weirdly enough we seen Clark and Bellamy there before in the exact same position. We see Callie and I believe his name is August. They make a plan to leave in radiation suits to save some more people, as there is much more room in the bunker, but that plan is foiled by Reese Cadogan, who brings in some second dawn guards to escort them out of the room. We then see Callie attempt to convince Reese to do what's right and save at least the person on the other side of the door who was banging on the door and dying, and he still straight up declines, preferring to go with whatever his father, Bill Cadogan, wants to do. Callie is clearly more rebellious and kind of similar to Clark. I would call her almost a mix of Clark and Octavia, and Reese is more of a disciplined character and will just follow the rules. I don't want to compare him to Bellamy, and I know a lot of people are going to make that comparison, obviously with him being the brother and probably being the male lead of this series. I do see some similarities with the way that he's coming off as an antagonist already, the way Bellamy did in the first season. He's not, I don't know, he's just dumber than Bellamy. He just does awful things in this episode. He's an antagonist of this entire pilot for this prequel. We then immediately get a 2-year time jump after that scene. Becca comes down from the Ark, which we have seen earlier on in the series, and now we know the people that approached her were actually the protagonists of this potential spin-off series. She takes off her mask in a critical radiation zone. This immediately baffles Reese and the others, but we know it's because she was Nightblood, and that is what she will teach them in order to survive on the Earth without the radiation suits. Becca then enters the bunker and saves Tristan, who starts spazzing out because he was exposed to the radiation, and she's able to save him with the Nightblood serum. Callie is also clearly a huge fan of Becca, and then Becca meets Cadogan, and then she types in the anomaly code, which she just knows due to the flame, which sort of confirms that the flame is most likely the reason why Cadogan believes Clark is the key to unlocking the anomaly, as Becca did in this scene. Don't take that as 100% proof, by the way, I'm just speculating, but I think that's likely. Becca then suggests giving everyone in the bunker Nightblood so they don't have to live in the bunker anymore and they can roam the Earth as the grounders would, and Cadogan flat out declines this and then tries to shut down Callie, who at this point is the only person speaking with any common sense, as everyone else in power is completely delusional with it. Like, I can see Cadogan's point, as in the Earth is not habitable and there's nothing really there for them, and he's been working on this anomaly stone forever, and I can see from his point of view it was more likely a power thing, a power hungry thing, and wanting to continue being worshipped by these cult members, which is what it is. It's a cult, no matter what he says. Callie and Becca would then have a conversation where Callie basically guesses everything that Becca has done with the neural implant, which is then revealed to be the flame. Callie begins to talk Becca into giving the Nightblood to everyone in the bunker. Becca gets up because she begins to hear things again. She enters another code into the anomaly. It transforms into a ball of light. Then when Becca touches it, she disappears. Now I'll touch on that exact scene again at around the end of this review, but onto the next scene. Becca, in her last day, she then tells Callie all she needs to know about the flame, and not to give the passphrase to Cadogan because in the wrong mind it can end the human race. Reese and the guards then come in and take Becca by force, and they take Becca outside and they kill her. Reese, by the way, comes off as a complete villain in this entire episode, not just in the typical 100 way of making the wrong choice here and there, but is a complete antagonist, doing Cadogan's dirty work. Then we see things really come to a head in the bunker, and we see the two colliding sides finally meet, and that was probably another little time jump there. And then we get Callie challenging Reese to a straight-up one-on-one fight in the bunker, reminiscent of the days of Blood Reina. Callie then takes control of the situation. She shoots her brother Reese in the arm, knocks him out with the gun. She then gives him the nightblood dose and takes control of the bunker guards, or she orders them to take control of the bunker guards. Callie's mother then pushes the bunker door shut once they all run out of it, and they are completely out of this at this point, and trying to get away from Cadogan. And at this point, they already all have the blood transformation. They already all have the nightblood, so they can survive on the earth. And just before they were about to get out, because they're probably going to get caught, Callie's mother pushes the bunker door shut and makes sure they can escape, since they all have the doses. And then as soon as that happens, Cadogan shows up and he pretends like he's gonna, be all alright with his wife, and her saying that they gotta let their daughter go. But you just knew something was gonna happen here. There was no way he was gonna let that go, and he basically kills his wife in revenge. And I think this is the moment that Reese realized that his father, who he's clearly very close to, is just off the deep end and he can't be stopped. Callie and all the rest of them run out of the bunker in a scene that I thought was in a lot of ways similar, even the music and everything, to the pilot of the 100 when they first got off the dropship. And then right after this scene, we go back to Clark and Cadogan in present day, and they deal with the hostage situation. And then the big cliffhanger is that Dioza, Echo, and Octavia all reveal themselves to be disciples of Bardo. And that was the big cliffhanger in the episode. Now, I don't know if they're actually disciples. They've been with them for 5 years. I'm not sure if they're gonna do a story with this where it's like they are, they're being controlled, or if their mind's been changed, or what's happening there. I really hope they don't want to go through with that and they just kill all three of them off at the end of the show, because I think that would be a huge disservice to all three of those characters. I hope it's more a thing where they're just kind of biding their time to betray Cadogan and his group, because I don't want to see that be the end of the stories for those three characters. They deserve something much different than that, I think. One other really important thing I think about this final scene was, as soon as we came back to present day, Cadogan asked Clark, is Callie in the flame, right? Is she still in there? And then Clark responded, yes. I'm not sure if it's just something she knew or if she was just saying that to make him happy. I'm not really sure what the reason would be, but I think this is possibly, and with Becca's scene earlier of like the anomaly turning into this white orb and her disappearing into it, I'm thinking that maybe this is somehow possibly going to tie into the end of the series, where there's some I don't know what it would be, like an alternate reality. It's borderline magical stuff. There's not really much science behind this stuff in particular, but is it possible that this plays into the end of the series? Is it possible that the last things we ever see are a scene possibly where Cadogan, if he's not dead at this point, maybe he does die, maybe Cadogan and Clark both die, right? And we get some type of scene where Cadogan reunites with his daughter Callie and Clark reunites with Lexa. And another thing to go with that theory is, and I don't really know if this is proof or anything that maybe this is true, but I know Alicia Debnam Carey had posted that people should watch the 100 prequel tonight. And again, that can just be anything. That can be Jason Rothenberg paid her some money to tweet about it and promote, because so many people love that character. It could be so many things, but I don't know. I don't think that says that the theory I just said is going to happen. I mean, maybe she did film this season, who knows? None of the supposed spoiler accounts on Twitter have indicated that to be true at all. I'm just making a guess, because they kept mentioning, like, they're not saying afterlife, but using different ways to describe it within the flame. I think it's possible. I think that is a possible thing that could happen at the end of the series. Now, was this prequel, spin-off, whatever you want to call it, pilot, backdoor pilot, was it good enough to get picked up by the CW? I really hope so. I'm not 100% sure, because, I mean, we're all just fans. How could we really know for sure how that stuff really works? But I know that the hashtag or the phrase "we want the 100 prequel" was trending worldwide today, top 10 worldwide. And if that's not going to get the CW's attention, and then an amazing episode tonight, which I think will get really good reviews, if that's not enough, then I don't think there's anything we really could have done. But I really do hope we see more of this series, because I think it has a ton of potential. But enough of what I think. Tell me what you think in the comments, and ones, leave a like and subscribe, and tell me if you think they should go ahead with the 100 prequel and what you want to see from it, and tell me who is your favorite character in tonight's episode. And leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.